Can you able to hear me, honey? Okay. So in last class we did digestion, types of animals depending upon what kind of food they are consuming, then teeth and its type. Okay, what are their types we learned, and their functions also, as well as that activity 2.3, the food which we chew, that is get mixed with the saliva and the starch is converted into glucose, and normal cooked rice is there, and if we drop iodine on it, so it converts into black and blue substance, that means there is a presence of starch. Okay, and even we did a test tube, sorry, not test tube, that test buds. Okay, different test buds are there on the tongue. Okay, bitter, sour, sweet. Okay, that everything we can able to identify, that means there is a different test buds are there. Then we have a activity 2.4, and after that we have to discuss about the food pipe and esophagus. This is what a scenario which we did in the last class. So activity 2.4 we can discuss now. Prepare a separate sample each of sugar solution, common salt solution, lemon juice, and juice of crushed neem leaf or bitter gourd. Second, blindfold one of your classmates and ask her and him to take out the tongue and keep it in a straight and flat position. Okay, use a clean toothpick to put the above samples one by one on different areas of the tongue as shown in figure. Okay, ask classmates which areas of the tongue could detect a sweet, salty, sour and bitter substances. Okay, so we can able to identify salt, sour, sweet. Okay, that all substances because of the presence of the taste buds which are there on our tongue. Okay, now they gave here different objects, means substances: sugar solution, sweet in nature, common salt is bitter, not bitter but it is salty in taste, lemon juice, it's a high concentration bitter, then after that not bitter, sour. So like that, bitter gourd is bitter, neem leaf is also bitter. Okay, different things, substances if we are taking, then the tests are different, then we are able to identify these substances just because of the taste buds which are there on our tongue. So next, that is the food pipe, or food pipe is also known as a esophagus. Okay, the swallowed food passes into the food pipe or esophagus. So the food pipe runs along the neck and the chest, and food is pushed down by movement of wall of the food pipe. Actually, the movement takes place through the alimentary canal and pushes the food in the downward direction, and when a downward direction, at the time the food is not accepted by our stomach, and then it is vomited out. Recall the instances when you vomited after eating and think of reason of it. Discuss with your parents and teacher. So if you check the figure on which is given on page number 15, okay, there is a food pipe, and esophagus is a long tube where the water and food supply is going to the stomach. Okay, the at the end of the esophagus there is what, a stomach is attached. So whenever we are taking the food, we are chewing the food, the chewed food is get moistened because of the saliva mixed with that, and then with the help of peristaltic movement, that food is what, going from esophagus to the stomach. What do you mean by peristaltic movement? Peristaltic movements means that swallowed food get motion, and it makes one object, and that is slowly going to the stomach. So when it is pushes downward, upper part will become relaxed and lower part is what get contracted. So like that, there is a contraction relaxation takes place, and that movement is known as what? Peristaltic movement. So with the help of peristaltic movement, the food is slowly entering into the stomach. And some, if suppose already food is there, and if you are not hungry, and then we are started what? Vomiting. So that food will not be going to the stomach, it will directly comes out. Okay, so this is nothing but what? Esophagus start from the neck region and going up to the stomach. Okay, very important thing, that is the peristaltic movements are essential here. Then next part is nothing but here stomach. So next stomach is nothing but what? The stomach is thick walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened J. Okay. So on page number 15 also you can see the diagram. At the end of the esophagus there is a stomach which is present in the J type shape, and underline that J, and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal, and it receives the food from the food pipe at one end and opens into the small intestine to the at the other. The inner lining of the stomach secretes the mucus, hydrochloric acid and digestive juices. Underline this statement. And the mucus protects the aligning of the stomach, and the acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acidic and helps the digestive juices to act. The digestive juices break down the proteins into a simpler substances. Okay, so just now they describe the stomach is there at the end of the esophagus, and that stomach shape is nothing but what? J shape. So whatever the food is we are taking, with the help of peristaltic movement from esophagus, it is enter into the stomach. And learn that. So that is enter into the stomach. Okay, once it is enter into the stomach, then that food is what? Get digested. So the stomach don't have any hands or any machineries, okay, to digest that food. So this stomach, inside the stomach there is a digestive juices are secreting, mucus and hydrochloric acid is also there, which is present on the walls of the stomach, and these all are help to digest the food. Digestive juices secretes, okay, secreted in the stomach. So they are what? Generating the juices, and that generated juices are used to digest the food. Okay, mucus which provides which allows the food to move in the forward direction, and hydrochloric acid is present inside the stomach. Okay, and which kills the bacteria which are comes with the food. So even hydrochloric acid level is increases if we are consuming excess food, or if the food is not digested inside the stomach, then in that case HCl means hydrochloric level is also increases, and because of that we have a pain and irritation, and that is also known as what? Acidity. To reduce that effect we are drinking soda or lemon juice etc., which is basic in nature, and that we are using to neutralize this. Okay, so what are the three important things are there in the stomach to digest the food? Hydrochloric acid, then there is a mucus, and digestive juices are present to digest the food inside the stomach, which will come from the alimentary canal. Okay, and as well as the digestive juices break down the protein into simpler substances. Okay, understood up to here? Do you have any doubts up to here? So food is what? Now entered into the small stomach, small intestine. So read this part and then we can go for the next part, that is the small intestine. Read once. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. You did, honey? Finished? Yes, comedy club. Hello. Honey finished? Okay, honey, are you there? Hmm. Now, next is the small intestine. Okay, a small intestine is highly coiled and about 7.5 meters long. Underline this statement, very important. Small intestine is coiled, okay, so that it is actually long 7.5 meter, and if you are making a coil and fitting it, then only it will fit into the stomach. Okay, so it is coiled and it is 7.5 meter long, and it receives the secretions from the liver and pancreas. Very important. The small intestine receive the secretion from the liver and pancreas. Okay, besides it also, its wall also secretes the juices, whose small intestine is also secrete the juices. The liver is what? Reddish brown. The liver is reddish brown gland situated at the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. Okay, underline this statement also. So, how to describe the liver? Liver is what? Reddish brown gland and situated in the upper part of the abdomen of the right side. It has the largest gland in the body. Underline, they will ask which one is the largest gland in their body. That is the small intestine, and it secretes the bile juices that are stored in the sac called as a gallbladder. They are secreting what? The bile juices, and they are stored in the sac, and that sac is known as what? Gallbladder. Okay, and bile play an very important role for the digestion of fats. Okay, fats and lipids. So here the pancreas is a large cream colored gland located just below the stomach. The pancreatic juices acts on the carbohydrates, fats, proteins and lipids and change it into what? A simpler form. Okay, and partly digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine, where the intestinal juices completes the digestion of all components of the food, and carbohydrates get broken into a simple sugars such as glucose. Underline this, carbohydrates gets broken into simple sugars such as a glucose, fats and into fatty acids, and glycerol and proteins into amino acids. They'll ask the question based on this. Carbohydrates are getting broken and converted into what form? They are broken and they are forming, they can form simple sugars such as a glucose, fats such as the glucose, and fats are converted into fatty acid and glycerol, and proteins are converted into amino acids. Okay, so inside the stomach, what is there? Inside the stomach there is what? Means stomach, small intestine. It is a coil like structure. It is 7.5 meter long, and it receives the secretion from the liver and pancreas. Okay, and as well as on the walls of the small intestine, they are secreting the juices also, juices. And here liver is brown color shape, gland is brown reddish brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdominal in the right side. Okay, and the it secretes the bile juices, and bile juices are stored in the sac, and that sac is called as a gallbladder. And bile juices are important, play and very important role for the digestion of the fats. Okay, and the pancreas are generating a pancreatic juices, and pancreas is a large cream color gland is located just below the stomach. Okay, and the pancreatic juices on carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and changes them into a simpler form. Okay, and the partly digested food now reaches to the lower part of the small intestine, where the intestinal juices completes the digestion of all components of the food, and carbohydrates are converted into a and simple sugar or glucose, and fats are converted into fatty acids, and glycerol and proteins are converted into amino acids. Okay, this everything takes place inside the small intestine. Okay, and there is a absorption of the nutrition takes place in the small intestine. Okay, I hope you are getting up to here. Okay, so I will give you 2 minutes to read this part, and then we'll go for the absorption in the small intestine. Okay, honey, finished. Now next part, absorption in a small intestine. So digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. Okay, this process is called as absorption. The inner wall of the small intestine have a thousands of finger-like projections, and that finger-like projections are called as villi, which is singular is villus. And can you guess what is the role of this villi? Could you could be in the intestine? The villi increases the surface area. Underline this. The villi increases the surface area for absorption of the digested food. Each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of the villi absorb the digested food materials. The absorbed substance transported via the blood vessels to different organs of the body, where they are used to build a complex substances such as proteins required by the body. This is called as a assimilation in the cells. Glucose breaks down the help with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed enters into the large intestine. Okay, so once the food is get digested, then it is sending towards the small intestine, and in small intestine all the nutrients like carbohydrate, then fats, then vitamins, minerals, all nutrients are what get absorbed by the small intestine. Okay, and the digested uh, food through blood vessel, it is sending towards the small intestine, and this process is known as a absorption. Okay, and the inner walls of the small intestine have a thousands of finger like projections, and that finger like projections are known as a villi. Means suppose this is a pipe is there, and this, inside this, on this inner wall, there is a small finger like projections are known as a villi. Okay, so that villi, what is the function of this villi? Actually this villi provides the surface area. Okay, surface area for the absorption of the food, whatever the digested food is there, for them we are giving a area to absorb the nutrients. Okay, and this villi has a network of thin and small blood vessels. Okay, close to its surface, and this villi absorb the digested food materials, and the absorbed substances are transported to the blood vessels to the different organs and of the body, and they used to build a complex substances such as proteins required for the body. This is called as what? Assimilation. They underline this. What do you mean by assimilation? They will ask. So assimilation is nothing but what? The food material is absorbed into the different body parts, and because of villi, there is a more surface area is provided for the absorption of the digested food. Okay, and here to break down into small complex substances into a simpler one, proteins are required by the body. This is called as what? Assimilation. Okay, and inside the cell, okay, glucose breaks down, and with the help of oxygen and carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. So basically cells require energy for their growth and for repairing different parts. So we require carbon dioxide, we require oxygen, we require water. Okay, for the different work, for different purpose. But whenever we are using oxygen, carbon dioxide and water, that releases the energy. So in next class, in higher classes, we have conversion of 6 carbon molecules into 3 carbon molecules, which gives the energy to the body. So similarly here, carbon dioxide, water and oxygen is required by the each cell, okay, to release the energy into the cell. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed enters into the large intestine. So which the food which is not unabsorbed, and it is unabsorbed and undigested food is what? Going to the large intestine. And in large intestine, what will happen? The large intestine is wider and shorter than the small intestine, and its length is about 1.5 meter, 1.5, and its function is to absorb the water and some salts, okay, from the undigested food, and the remaining waste is passes through the rectum, and it remains there as a semi solid phases. Okay, and the fecal matter is removed through the anus from time to time. This is called as a egestion. This is called as what? Egestion. Egestion means what? Removal of the undigested food from the body in the form of fecal matter. Okay, and larger intestine is 1.5 meter long, and it absorbs the water and some salt from the undigested food, and through rectum this undigested food is what? Throwing out through the anus. Okay, this is known as the egestion. Getting up to here, read this. I will give you some time. Okay, honey, finished. Okay, now next part is digestion. You know, digestion in a grass eating animals. Okay, so have you observed the cows, buffaloes, and other grass eating animals chewing continuously even when they are not eating? Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and stored into part of stomach is called as a rumen. Okay, underline this. So what do you mean by rumen? So suppose you are giving a cut to them, they are eating, they are swallowing that cut fast, and once they will sit nicely, then they will take that grass out on their tongue and they are chewing that um, curd. Okay, and that is known as what, cud chewing, that means cud chewing or rumen. Okay, the grass, the store grass in the part of stomach is called as a rumen. Okay, and here the food is gets partially digested, and that is called as what, cud. Okay, but later the cud returns to the mouth, and small lumps of the animals chews in this process is called as a rumination, and these animals are called as what, ruminants. Means whatever grass they are eating, that grass that is partially digested, and again after some time they can take that lump on their tongue and they are chewing that. Okay, such animals are known as what, ruminants. Okay, this process is called as a rumination, and the partially digested grass is known as what, cud. Okay, and the grass is rich in cellulose, because we know that in plant cellulose is a most important part is there, and this cellulose is one kind of hydrocarbon, and the ruminants like a cattle, deer, etc., the bacteria present in the rumen helps in digestion of the cellulose, because for digestion of a cellulose we require some time, but because of some bacteria which are present, okay, okay, that digestion, the bacteria, there is what, the food is what get digested. So many animals include humans cannot digest the cellulose. So animals like horse, rabbit, etc. have a large sac-like structure is called as uh, satium. Okay, Cas- uh, cecum. Okay, between the esophagus and the small intestine. Very important. Underline this, honey. Animals like horses, rabbit, and large have a large sac-like structure is called as a caecum between the esophagus and the small intestine. Okay, they have one bag-like structure. Okay, in between the intestine and the esophagus, so that the cellulose of the food is get digested here by the action of certain bacteria which are not present in the humans. Okay, normally human being में नहीं होता है, but in case of these animals that sac contains some bacteria, and that cellulose is what digested here only. Okay, so far you have learnt about animals which possesses the digestive system, but there are many small organisms which do not have a mouth and digestive system. Then how do they acquire and digest the food? Okay, normally paramecium, amoeba, they don't have a, mouth. Okay, and they are single cellular organisms, they can able to do everything, means they can eat, the respiration they are doing, digestion they are doing, then the reproduction is their excretion is there, they are performing everything, because amoeba is a microscopic single celled organism, we are not able to see with the naked eyes. Okay, but inside this amoeba there is nucleus is there. Okay, and they have a false feet, that false feet are known as what, pseudopodia, and with the help of that pseudopodia they are catching their prey or their food, and they make a vacuole, or they can make a circle around the food, and that food is what acquired or digested by the amoeba. Okay, and as they are absorbing the food, taking the food, the nucleus become dense and dense, and that nucleus is what getting divided into two parts. So according to that, one single amoeba can generate into it can form the two daughter cells. Okay, and there is vacuoles are present, and they can perform digestion, respiration, excretion, and reproduction, all the life processes with the help of single cell. Okay, so that diagram is also given on page number how much, 18. You can check that. Okay, and they trap the food in a food vacuole. Okay, then once they take the food into their body, then digestive juices are secreted in the food. Then, sorry, can you able to hear me? Can you able to hear me? Okay, now here that food is what get trapped into the vacuole, and the digestive juices are secreted, and that food is what get digested inside the body, and the nutrients are what getting to the body. Means that complex substances are converted into a simpler one because of the digestive juices. Okay, and the absorbed substances are used for their growth and maintenance and multiplication, and undigested food is what excreted from their body outside the body, that is with the help of vacuole. The basic process of digestion of a food and release the energy is the same in all animals. In the larger chapter, you will learn about the transport of food absorbed by the intestine to the various parts of our body that we are discussing. So you all can come on the page number 18. See, there is a digestive system of ruminant is shown. So there is a long esophagus tube is there, and there is a small intestine, and even the rumen is there. Okay, which is shown in green in color. Okay, that grass they are taking inside their body, so that contains the cellulose, and that is stored in the body. Partially grass is what get digested, that is called as a cud, and that lump after that they can take it on their tongue, and again they are what started chewing. Okay, that is a cud chewing animals, that's what we can call it as a cud chewing animals, and this process is called as a rumination, and this kind of animals are known as ruminant. Okay, so this is what the chapter. Honey, do you have any doubt into this? So today what you have to do, you have to finish this exercise which is there below the text, means, and after this chapter that you have to do it and send it to me. Okay, thank you for joining. I'll end this session.